Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I'm your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. Please watch all of my shows on the Henry Gornbein YouTube channel as we continue to build the audience for Gracefully Graying, with our website, gracefullygraying.com, being launched shortly. Today I'm pleased to welcome as my guest the Bloomfield Township Fire Chief, Mike Morin, and Phil Langmeyer, the police chief, as we discuss some of the important issues that face all of us in the township, both with regard to millage and with regard to those of us who are gracefully graying, and I think everyone in this room has gray hair, so I say, I'll address you by first name. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with regard to the fire department, especially with regard to the upcoming millage?
Well, the fire department is obviously operated on tax dollars. We're a 24/7 operation, 365. So every minute of the day, there's somebody at the fire station waiting to respond. We run out of 4 stations. So when we look at the millage is about a $2.5 million hit to me. It's about a $5 million millage overall, but to my department, it's about $2.5 million. And $2.5 million basically means bodies. That's people that respond. The resources that you have means I'm going to cut about 22, 24 people out of the department to reach that $2.5 million mark. So it's very impactful on us and very impactful on the services that we provide. And as we get into the services and that we provide you, we can discuss that a little bit more in length. But it's definitely, we're operated on millage dollars, and it's important to keep the service at the level it is.
Mm-hmm. Phil, I'm going to ask you the same question with regard to the Bloomfield Township Police Department and what the impact of the millage is with regard to your department.
Well, Henry, it's really the same as it is with the fire department. This renewal that's coming up is used for police and fire. It is a general fund renewal, but the monies are dedicated to police and fire. So while Mike is also looking at $2.5 million out of his budget, I'm looking at the same, $2.5 million out of our budget.
That's substantial. I mean, this is, and what bothers me, this is one of the most affluent communities, not only in the county, but this is one of the most affluent counties in the United States.
Yes.
And this should be a no-brainer. It's not as if you're asking for more money, you're asking for a renewal.
Yes. These are the current tax dollars, the things that you're paying now. We're not asking for any more. We'll squeak by with what we have, but we are to the point now of where services will be affected. I'm looking at 20 to 25 officers being let go. That is over a third of our department.
That's huge.
That's a huge, huge number. We're operating at levels right now in the police department from 1970s. I don't know where 40 officers in the history of Bloomfield Township, I can't tell you what year we were last at 40 officers.
It makes no sense. Phil, last year the township failed to pass a special assessment. And what is the impact of that?
Well, the special assessment district, when that failed, there were a couple major impacts to the police department and services that we provide to the community. The first one was that we had to eliminate the animal welfare division. We now contract with Oakland County for services here in the township, but Oakland County only gives us minimal services when it comes to animal welfare. They don't deal with wild animal complaints at all. We have to take animals to them, the residents do. We don't collect animals, we don't take dogs in, we don't take cats in, we don't care for animals anymore. Our animal welfare unit has been eliminated. And then the second thing that's happening is our traffic unit is being phased out. Right now, we have 3 officers and a sergeant dedicated to enforcing traffic laws and traffic problems throughout the township. That unit will be slowly phased out. Those officers will be moved back to patrol duties because we're not able to hire anybody. Our staffing level right now is at 61 officers. We were at 70 in the past. That's where we've always been since I hired in here, was at 70 officers. We're down to 61 now, and I just don't have the luxury of having 3 officers dedicated to traffic problems in the township anymore. So that unit is being phased out.
Mike, what about with regard to the fire department and the failure of the special assessment last year?
Well, we've cut back. I'm down 4 positions in my department. We've dropped each shift back. We rely more on mutual aid with our communities around us, both giving it and receiving it. So the impact basically means that I don't staff a rescue. I have guys jumping from a ladder truck to a rescue, and it puts the ladder out of service. So we're manpower dependent. We try to get as many on scene of a fire as we can. Minimum standards are 17. Many of the times I'm running with 15 on duty that day. So our runs continue to go up. When I started in 1986, I'm in my 33rd year here, we have risen 270% on the number of runs, and we've dropped our manpower around 21%. So we're doing quite a bit more with quite a bit less, and we've tried to add value along the way by adding services. A lot of the programs that we have instituted certainly add value to the community, not always attended or received or people are a part of, but they're out there, and we try to hit as many different demographics as we can. So.
But the community's grown. I mean, they're building more houses, so it's like there's a need for more services, more people, not less.
Absolutely. When you look at EMS alone in Bloomfield Township, 60% of the runs that I transport, 60% of the runs I transport are 65 years and older. Now, when you look at 85 and older, 26% of the runs are that. So when you look at that age group, and then you look at the SEMCOG demographics of the growing age group, it's the same one, the 65 and older. So that grows at about 10% a year. You can only see what that's going to add to my EMS runs. Now that's just resident survey. When you look at SEMCOG data, we have several assisted living facilities, we have memory care facilities, the dialysis facilities here, and those all add to it. So we look at the number of beds that come into like a Sunrise, and we figure that adds like 1.2 runs to our incidents a year per bed. So we're keeping an eye on this data, and we're watching where it's going, and we're trying to stay ahead of it. This particular millage will certainly impact that.
So it's critical, and our population, especially, well, in both your departments, really, it's a gracefully graying population, and they need services more and more, not less, especially with regard to your runs for emergency situations.
Absolutely. And we've tried to have both police and fire go into a prevention mode. Many of the programs we do are aimed at prevention. Many of the programs that Chief Langmeyer does is aimed at prevention and assisting the citizens. So, I talk a lot about the EMS that we do, 3,000 runs or plus of EMS runs that we do, but we do 6,000 runs a year, and half of those are fire and half of those are citizen assist. So when you look at the demographics and the number of people that we went and out, call us out, we go put them back in bed, or they've slipped and fallen in the bathroom or tripped over a rug, and we go and assist them. Those numbers don't even fit into the EMS numbers. So we do a lot with the aging population here. We do a lot to allow them to age at home. Their family members are either older than them and have passed away, and many of their sons and daughters are getting up there in years as well and are living in other states. So we do a lot to contact our citizens here and help them out.
Tell us about some of your major programs or prevention programs with regard to seniors. I'll start with you, Mike, then we'll go to you, Phil.
Yeah, we do several prevention programs. We have our child safety seat program. A lot of the grandparents are now carting the kids around, the grandchildren and stuff. They're very proud, but they come in and we'll help them install a car safety seat the right way and give them instruction. Some of the smoke detector programs, we'd rather they give us a call and come out and check when the smoke detector is beeping, or you don't have one, and let us install it. I don't want to see, in many cases, somebody 65 plus climbing a ladder. That leads to a medical event. We do home inspection programs. We put handrails up for people. We survey, a lot of people will trip over rugs. So we try to prevent unneeded transports to the hospital. And that's all done through our checklist that we do. We have a Knox box program or a lockbox program. If you want us to get into your house with a special key, we can put those up for you as well. So, and then when it gets on the other side, on the recovery side, we do the community paramedicine, which is it's a very good program. When you get discharged from the hospital, we do follow-up calls.
So these are all important reasons why the millage should pass. Phil, what about some of the programs of the police that especially impact upon those of us who are gracefully graying?
Well, prevention for the police department is the key. Responding to crime doesn't address crime. We want to prevent crime before it happens to make the community feel safer. Up until now, we're very successful at that. Some of the programs that we offer out there, first one that's pretty popular with everybody is our vacation house check. If you leave your house for the weekend, say you're going out of town, just give us a call. Call into dispatch. We'll take your name and number. Make sure an officer goes by your house once or twice over the weekend or week, or if you're going to Florida for the winter, let us know. We'll go check your house on a periodic basis to make sure everything is okay. We'll pull all the doors, make sure nobody's been around it, and do that on a continual basis until you return. Gives you some peace of mind while you're out of your house that everything is safe while we're there. Another one that we utilize quite often with our gracefully graying population is our Friends in Blue program. And this is a program that I really take to heart here. If you have a senior relative that is alone and you want us to come by, we'll stop by to check on that person. We assign one officer to that senior, and it's generally, like Mike said, a lot of these seniors we have in our community, their relatives have passed, their kids have moved out of state, and they're by themselves. So if you have a relative that's like that, give us a call. We'll send an officer by the house, just knock on the door, chat with them, make sure everything is okay, make sure everything's being taken care of. And they'll do that on a continual basis. Stop by whenever they need assistance with something. All they've got to do is call.
So you're really doing kind of theft prevention to make sure everything's okay while someone's gone, but you're also doing wellness checks, for lack of a better word.
Exactly. It's a chance for us to reach out and make sure that that senior who's by themselves is being taken care of. If we have to get services from the senior center for them, we'll do that. It's really more of to give that senior a friend, somebody they can rely on, somebody they can talk to, because everybody likes to just chat from time to time, and that's really what our guys do a lot of times, is just go have a conversation with them. But we've done all kinds of things. We've been out there raking leaves. We've been out there cleaning gutters. It's whatever the senior needs, and we try to make sure that their needs are met through this program, because nobody likes to see that person that's left alone out there.
Mike, what are some of the challenges that the fire department is facing today that we haven't covered?
Well, the fire service itself is facing this attraction, the retention problems. You know, we're trying to look for recruits. It's not a field that everybody's going into. The police have the same issue. So the number of people going into the field is dwindling. When we go out for application, I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 applications. So when you look at that, you have to look at, well, what's the reason? And it's the competition around us. You have to have a competitive pay to attract people. And we have had, and since 2017 when I became chief, I've had 8 people leave our department for other departments, and that's because of security. It's the benefits that they're looking for and the competitive pay. So what we have to look at is the recruitment. We also have to look at the retention. And that's not just in Bloomfield Township, that's all around us. So that's a big issue in the fire service itself. And again, the demand for the service is going up, and we're trying to project for the future. And we need to, keep in line with that. We could use 4 rescues. I have 3. When I look at my service with 4 stations, I have over 43% of the time we're on 2 or more runs. Now, when you look at that and dwell the numbers down a little bit there, drill them down, 1,100 runs a year, I'm on 3 or more runs. So once I hit that 3-run mark, I'm out of resources, and I start calling in mutual aid from other departments. If it's available, we don't know where it's coming from. So when you look at the services to stabilize them, you got to look at, again, we need to attract people and we need to retain people to provide the service. And then we have to look at, what is the growing demand on the service? And that is citizen assists and medicals. So we're trying to keep up with the pace of things. We're trying to provide value for the cost of our service, and we are competitive. We look at the rates and the cost and the communities around us, and we are competitive.
Do people understand what you do? I mean, maybe we need more shows like this to get it out that, if you're impacted directly, you understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, how do we get the word out that you both of your departments are doing a lot. You're not just giving people tickets
Right.
or arresting people, but you're doing a lot to help people, especially those of us who are gracefully graying. And I think that's an important factor that has to get out there.
And we try to do that on a continual basis by talking to people all the time and being out there with our prevention and teaching classes. I have officers that are out. Our community relations officer is out talking to the senior center people on a monthly basis. He has a time where he's out there talking to people, and that's what we can do. We can reach all the other demographics through social media and print media and things like that to share these programs with them, but really you make the biggest impact, I believe, by just going down and sitting down and talking to people and saying, this is what we can give to you and offer to you. Nobody likes to see a cop come to their door. We're faced with the same challenges that Mike is in recruitment and retention, because who really wants to be an officer these days? It's very few. When I hired in and I did the administrative sergeant job at our place, I was in charge of hiring. And here in Bloomfield, we'd have one opening and I'd have 300 people test for it. Now we have 4 openings and I get 10. And it's just because people don't really want to do this work anymore. The security blanket that was there in the day is being taken away, and there's just that reason to be there to do this job is no longer there.
Both your departments, I mean, you're expected to be on call. You're expected to react to emergencies, whether it's a fire, whether it's someone who's falling or in danger of a stroke, heart attack, and you're expected to be on the front line if there's a home invasion or if there's someone who's been injured or killed. So, you know, your jobs are not easy. And there's a lot that's expected, and people have to understand that you should be compensated fairly for what you do, and you've got to keep up with the needs and changes of society and things. It's like things move much more rapidly. It's like in my area of divorce, you push a button and something's out there on Facebook or the internet that perhaps shouldn't be, and it's everything's in microseconds.
Yes. Well, that's the funny thing, that when I talk to people and I tell them that, hey, we're at staffing levels from the early 1970s, and we are. We're right in that neighborhood. Things that happen today in 2020 were never even thought of in the 1970s, but the things that were going on in the 1970s are still there. You know, we've got a resurgence of heroin in our population. That was a big 1970s drug that went away for a long, long time, and now it's back. We still have to do all the things that we did back in 1970, but we have all of these other things that have been added to it. The job is very, very difficult to do now because of all the demands that are on you for your services. And you add to that, that's why people don't really want to do it, because they see how difficult the job is. And then you always have people who think, I mean, they watch a little bit of cop shows on TV and they think they know how to be an officer. They know what it takes to run a police department. You see that now. They know what it takes to run a fire department because they've watched some rescue shows on TV, and they have no idea what we really do on a day-to-day basis. Oh, yes.
It really is interesting, because when you look at, since I got into this field and he got in this field, you know, firemen were firemen, cops were cops. And now we've kind of switched roles a little bit. We have the police officers giving out Narcan on overdoses, and we have the firefighters wearing bulletproof vests. I have 3 sets of vests on my trucks. And it's like, when I first started this, I didn't really think I was going to have to fear bullets, and I don't think they thought they were ever going to give drugs. So our fields have changed a lot, and the demand on the system has changed. We do blood draws for the police department now, so they don't have to sit at the hospital for 3 hours waiting for the hospital to do it. So we've tried to build in some economics for the organization and keep the service at a high level. Unfortunately, we only touched, 12% of our population with the fire runs. And that's not enough people to get the message out. I get thank you cards every week. I get donations every week saying how great the service is, thanking us for allowing them to stay at home and age at home. So there are a lot of people that do appreciate our service.
Yes.
I think the big thing here is that you have to get out and vote and get your opinion, heard. Yes or no, if you don't want the service or you want the service. it doesn't much matter to me in regards to which way you vote, but let's have a solid vote that says this is what we want as a community. We all know what it does. The schools, police, and fire. That's what keeps your tax dollars, your value of your homes up, and your community safe. And we can adjust either way. Okay? If you don't want the service, we can adjust down.
But these are critical services.
These are critical services, absolutely.
I mean, when it gets to education, we become one of the worst states. So,
yeah, we don't want to be trying to be the best of the worst. We've always tried to be the best of the best.
Best of the best.
And that's where we want to stay as a community. That's where we want to stay as an organization. And in the fire service, that's what we're proud of. But the way to touch people, they have the communities call us in. We go to subdivision meetings. We do programs like this. I'm at the firehouse every day. I have a phone that they can call me,
Yep.
and then the new program where they can email us. And we have people emailing us about anything. But we're definitely in contact. Our message is come and get the right information. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe the numbers, come and get the right information.
Well, you have a message. When in doubt, call us. What is that exactly, Mike?
When in doubt, call us out. Yeah, it's our favorite message. Basically, if you have a problem, we own it. So you give us a phone call, it's going to be a police officer, a firefighter, a paramedic is going to come there and solve your problem. Our response is about an average of 5 minutes. And I don't think you can get an electrician, a plumber, appliance service guy there in that kind of time. And many of the problems we go on are just questions about that. The washing machine is smoking. I'm having problems with my lights. The smoke detector's going off. So basically, you make a phone call. We'll send somebody out. Not always emergency, but we'll come out and we'll help you with your problem. And if you're in doubt at all, we will own it until we have taken care of the problem or got you in contact with somebody.
Phil, how often do you have double runs? And explain what that means.
We have double runs quite often. We have multiple cars going to multiple places all at once. It happens on a regular basis for the police department. We cover a very large geographic area. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how big Bloomfield Township is. We go from South Boulevard on the east side, and South Boulevard and Adams, okay, Adams Road all the way over to Inkster, and then on Telegraph from Orchard Lake all the way down to 14. Now Bloomfield Hills is in there for just a couple square miles, but we cover 25 square miles. Our response time is not quite the same as Mike's. It's a little bit longer, but I have officers going all over the place. It is common for us to be on multiple runs at one time, and that's where our manpower issues come up. Most of our runs take 2 cars. We don't send too many, unless we know it's a non-dangerous call, like a lockout or an accident on a side street, then I can send 1 car, but most of the times I'm sending 2 cars to calls. I've generally got 6 cars working. So we're going to be, it's common that I don't have cars available to send people as we stand right now.
Mike, why do you send double cars or double trucks to runs?
Anyway, that's a great question. I get that question so many times. How come you send so many trucks? You have to look at our system. So the trucks that you see on the road that you live on aren't always the trucks from your fire station. Remember we talked about the number of incidences where we have 43% of the time we're over 2 or more incidences at the same time. Well, our rescues do transport. And a lot of times you'll get the engine from the closest station house and you'll get a rescue from a farther station. So you may have the engine from, say, Station 3 at Maple and Telegraph, but you may have the rescue coming from Station 2 on Westview and Adams. So all of our units are paramedic rigs, meaning that if you have a fire truck there, really that's the only way I can get 2 guys there and keep the truck in service, but they're licensed paramedics. And on that truck they carry the drug box, intubation kits, cardio monitors. We can do 12 lead EKGs in the field and transmit those to the hospitals. So if the big red truck with the ladders and stuff is there, it's paramedics that are there at your house. And then they wait for the second truck, which is the transport unit. And we bring in about $1 million a year in transport. So when we talked about that $2.5 million that the millage will lose, well, if I lose 22 guys, you have to add another $1 million onto that because EMS transport goes away. And that's revenue that we brought in about 2010 that has brought about $8-9 million into the township to help keep services at the level they are, as well as fund the EMS section of the fire department.
And we live in one of the most affluent communities, not only in the county, but in the country.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's no reason why these services cannot be paid for, period.
And the community has always supported us.
Yes.
The events that we go to is nothing but positive feedback. There's a few people that are out there that, you know, maybe are misinformed. Maybe they just don't like the service. Maybe they don't appreciate the service. But for the most part, Henry, I'm going to tell you, the community likes us. We have very positive feedback for everything that we do when we make contact with the township residents. And on the other hand, they've also always treated us good. Okay, the millages always go through. This is a renewal.
It's a renewal.
It's, you know, it's not increasing the taxes. It's just trying to stabilize what has happened because of the recession we had.
Which isn't enough, but it's critical.
Absolutely.
Phil, what are some services for seniors that you want to cover that we haven't discussed? And we have less than 3 minutes left, gentlemen.
Well, one of the biggest things that I want to tell seniors here in the township is the biggest crime problem we have with seniors right now is fraud. Getting telephone calls from people who are claiming to be doing whatever and that they need money and you need to send the money right now. Folks, my biggest thing, our biggest rule is, just like Mike's, if you doubt it, call us. I would rather come out to your house and find out and talk to these people myself, or talk to you about it and let you know that it's a scam. We have people that are falling for these scams. Nobody, no true business wants to be paid with a debit card or a gift card. Okay? DTE is not going to call and come out and turn your power off today. So these are things that are going on. If you get a call that says your grandson is in jail, check those calls out. Don't just go send money. And if you doubt it at all, give us a call. We have dealt with the local banks, gone and talked to them, and asked them to give us a call if we have a senior coming in and making a large withdrawal, just so we can come in and check. And they've done that, and that's been very beneficial for us. But my biggest word to the seniors is, please, call us. If somebody's calling you on the phone and wanting money, or sending you an email and wanting money, call us. We'll come out and talk to you. 99% of the time it's going to be a scam.
Less than 30 seconds. Any final thoughts, Mike, before we sign off?
Have a working smoke detector and CO detector. When in doubt, call us out and go out and vote and have your voice heard.
Gentlemen, Phil Langmeyer, the Chief of Police of Bloomfield Township, and Mike Morin, the Chief of the Bloomfield Township Fire Department. What you do is so important. You're really on the cutting edge for so many issues, so I want to thank both of you gentlemen for being my guests on Gracefully Graying, and I want to thank you for watching Gracefully Graying.